Josephine. How are you today?
I'm doing good. How are you?
Good. So you guys have to know that every now and then I stalk who is active in our group, and Josephine is one of those that I stalked. And she's very active in the groups, but her life story was more what I was interested in, and the point of empowering women. And I thought for December would be a perfect time for us to be able to need the extra boost. And I think Josephine's, she's already saying, yeah, she's going to be able to bring that to us today. And so, Josephine, welcome, and thank you so much for in advance for sharing your story with us. And I can't wait to get started. And
Yeah.
so, uh, for those of you that are just joining, obviously this is Tech Talk Live. We encourage you, because we're live, to ask questions. If you have anything for myself or the guest, which today is Josephine Cruz-Wright, then please ask questions. And even if you're watching this on replay, it's your time. This is your time to get the knowledge that you've been seeking. And if our special guest has that knowledge, we want you to seek out for them. They're willing to share. So anyways, Josephine, let's get started. I want to hear more about you, because in your bio, it goes back to where you started at about the age of 11.
Yes.
Yeah.
My mom, I just have to preface by saying my mom is such an amazing woman. When it came to really, um, I guess, encouraging me on my path, a lot of folks were always like, "Oh, you're so smart. You can be a lawyer. You can be a doctor. You can do this." And a lot of my time in school kind of showed that a little bit. Me just being a bit more advanced and in a lot of the things that I was doing. But my mom always kind of saw that creative side, and she always wanted to kind of pull me into something that she felt I would like. And so it was kind of funny because she just would always we would always go to the stores and beauty supply stores and cosmetic stores, and for whatever reason I would always get caught up looking at the Kiss nail supplies back then, all the little things that I would see in the beauty supply store, and she would just get them, and she'd just like try it, and it's like, what do you mean try this? But she really um sparked the interest by just being there and just enforcing, um, not just as a parent, not just like, learn more, but also just be creative and be happy as well. So that's definitely an awesome thing. So,
Oh, yeah. And that beginning support as a child, when we're young, we have that inner dignity and that inner voice telling us that we can do it. We can do anything. We're fearless. And honestly, it starts with our parents and family members that are like, you can't do that or you shouldn't do that. And so you kind of had a little bit of a different upbringing where you had the positivity around you saying you can be anything that you want to be.
right. I think that was one of the most important things because, like you said, some children. I mean, growing up, it's more so, well, this is what you're going to be when you grow up, and this is what you're going to do, and a lot of parents really try to encourage their children into other pathways, which is not a bad thing necessarily. But I'm kind of thankful that that wasn't where I was, or that wasn't necessarily how my mother chose to really raise and develop us. It was just really, follow your heart and really, whatever leads you, whatever you're led to, just follow that path. And I think that that's not, or that's probably one of the most impactful pieces of advice that I've probably ever gotten, because it led me here to this career and to this moment in my life. So it's definitely been worthwhile for
Yeah.
that I've experienced. Absolutely.
Oh my goodness. And of course, the benefits that moms always have, that when you're young, you want to play and do their nails and do their hair and all of that. And now, as an adult, you're still doing that. And so there's that touch relationship that we can have with our parents or our mentor, whoever it is that, kind of gets us in the industry. Our girlfriends sometimes is that motivation. And so the lifetime of pampering that they get from supporting us like that. But your life took a, so you have a life within a life.
Oh yeah.
And now you're on to another part of your life. And I love that we can continue to change, grow, as you said, develop into, who we are today. And so let's kind of talk about what led first, and then how did you get into the beauty industry after that?
Really, I mean, I guess in the beginning when my mom was really getting me all of these, kits and things like that, it wasn't so much of a focus for me. I'm from New York City, from Bronx, New York, and it is been a rough. Uh, it was a rough upbringing. My mom definitely tried her hardest to keep us away from a lot of outside influences. I mean, I can tell you where I grew up. There's a lot of violence, a lot of gangs, and a lot of things like that. But ultimately, she always knew, along with all the other mothers in the community that really were focused on their children, really, to kind of keep us away from that, and keep us kind of sheltered away from those kinds of lifestyles. But ultimately, my mom and I were victims of domestic violence. And so, for me, one of the biggest things, was really just trying to get out of that situation. Never did I imagine. I mean, as a kid, you don't think that this is what life is supposed to be, or this is what life is. Um, but really, once I kind of got to an age where I felt this is enough, um, it was pretty much at 17, and I decided to join the military. At that point, I felt that that was one of my only ways of escaping, domestic violence, and for, um, I guess in theory it worked. I mean, it helped. In theory, I feel like a lot of victims sometimes have, including myself, have this escape mentality. How do we get away? How do we find ways to get away? And my way to get away was the military. Um, but once I left the military, it was just, how can I do the most feminine thing? Like, what can I do that's the most feminine thing on the planet once I come home? Um, and it turned out to be the beauty industry. I went to Empire Beauty School in New York City, Manhattan, New York. So I am an alumni of Empire Beauty School, and it was just an amazing experience. I have to say, that if I didn't love beauty at that point, that is where I fell in love. Because it was just such an amazing experience, especially going through everything that I had gone through. Getting to that point really just made sense. It was a sense of belonging. Like, this is where I need to be.
Yeah, yeah. Oh my goodness. And I relate to what your life, it's like we always think that we didn't have the greatest upbringing, but when it comes to, different types of abuses, or whether it's verbal, physical, whatever, you're right. Once you get that choice to be able to leave, to escape, and to create something of your own, it's amazing how much more we can grow. And boy, when we look back, now me, I look at going to the military as just continued abuse.
Would, yes.
Structured abuse. My husband is actually leaving for boot camp in a month. So he is older, going into the military. Had to get some age waivers going, but he's living a dream. This is a life dream that he's wanted to do, and the time is now. So I have a little bit of my camo going on my nails in honor of that. And so thank you so much for your service and everything that you have done. And sadly, you might not have chosen that road if you didn't have the upbringing that you had, or maybe you might have, but sadly that you had to even have a glimpse of what violence is like in your life at all, because we want to be protected, and we think of us as girls as being our little empress, the little princess and the queen, and sadly that's not always the case. Domestic violence hits everybody. And anyways, I'm glad that you were able to find an escape, and hopefully the rest of your family as well.
Yeah.
But go ahead.
No, I was just going to mention, and it's funny being in this career, we encounter things like that all the time. You know, as professionals, you know, sometimes we have to deal with other professionals and even clients that may be experiencing situations like this. So it's so important to really, you know, even if it's not something that affects you, just to be aware and really knowledgeable on how to handle certain situations, because I noticed even in the military, it's kind of funny. Well, that's not funny at all, but it's interesting that a lot of the women that I actually had the privilege of serving with not only are now beauty professionals themselves, but also kind of were in similar situations. So in a sense, I feel like I went from one sisterhood to the next. And it's been a beautiful transition nonetheless. And it's just something that definitely we all have to kind of be aware of, and I guess a bit sensitive of when speaking to other people, because you just never know who's experiencing what. So it's definitely important.
Yeah, and it's so true. I've always said that our greatest power is our voice, but sometimes our voice is also what can hurt the most as well. And so those words that come out. And so that's kind of like what you said, the sisterhood of this. It's fun. Like, I love getting to know my clients, but not so much on a personal level that I become their therapist, but just enough where we can just connect. And I don't know, I like that one-on-one. But even online, we've been able to form that, you know, through social medias and whatnot. And we call it our tribe. And it's just amazing how much we can pull together and lift each other up and make each other stronger. And as you say, you know, empower. And I love that part of it. And so in the military, is there anything that helped set you for the foundation of your business of what you have today, besides you needed something girly?
Really, honestly, I think that you know, I was in the army, and so we, as a whole, as a military, we have certain core values, and I think one of the most important ones that really stands out for me is the value of integrity. And one of the biggest issues that I noticed, I guess, across the board, not only here in New York City, it was just mainly I didn't feel like I didn't feel like there was much integrity for the business. And I felt that by me getting into it, I wanted to not only just change the industry, but change others' perspectives of the industry as well. Um, you know, I didn't start off as a nail technician. I started off as a makeup artist. And so it's really important for me to make sure that not only, you know, are we upholding like the integrity of the industry as a whole, but also being responsible professionals, because I think that's one of the biggest things that, you know, as the industry gets much more populated, that we kind of have to, you know, say, hey, there's certain things to kind of maintain the integrity of the industry, and I don't see that happening as much as I would obviously like it to be. But I think that that's one of the main things that I think that I took from the military, and kind of just transitioned it into everything that I do going forward. Like, if I'm not going to do it with the right purpose or the right state of mind, or it shouldn't be done. And I think that that's one of the biggest things for me as an individual. That if I don't find the actual purpose behind me doing something, it won't sit right with me. I have to have a purpose and a plan, and that's it for me.
I love it. You gave me goosebumps, and you actually got me a little emotional. I I live with what you just said, and I respect every word that you just shared. And I hope that so many of the techs that are watching understand that, you know, sometimes we get into the industry because, you know, it was a generational kind of thing, or it was just an easy, you know, outlet, or we can work for ourselves and, you know, and raise our families and stuff. It's not always that way. The business easily runs you. So if you're not in this with the passion and with the drive that you want to keep, and the integrity and the dignity and the respect for other, people, and that pampering side, we truly are here to pamper the other person, whether we do their makeup, their hair, massage, their nails, whatever. If you're not in it for the right reasons, you're not doing anybody anything.
Right.
And you're not going to be profitable. You're not going to be in this for the long haul because your heart's not in it. Follow your heart. Oh my goodness. Gail says, I totally understand that. The integrity is so important. And she also says, thank you for your service.
Thank you.
Oh my goodness. I knew bringing you on and knowing your story that it was going to be so touching. And I didn't realize that I was going to already start with some emotions.
No.
Thank you so very much for sharing that portion of your life, and very tough as well.
Yeah.
And so when you, I don't know that you got out of the military, what was the transition where you started getting more into the beauty industry after school?
It happened. I don't want to say that it happened immediately, because there was an adjustment period, as you know, like being in the military is not an easy thing. I'm blessed that I'm able to be a little bit transparent about my experience, in the sense that for me, when I came back home, I had a lot of issues with readjusting, like, anger issues and aggression and things like that I felt were really displaced. And so for me, it was just a main issue, I think, of not only me feeling like I needed to gain back that femininity, or just like kind of, not just femininity, but really more so gaining back that like empathy for people and empathy for others and understanding others. Um, it just, I felt that I needed something new. And when beauty school was presented to me, it was just like, you know what, that's not even a bad idea. Like, let's do it. And it was just, okay, let's go into it. Let's do hair. Let's do nails. Let's do everything. And that's essentially what brought me there. Just needing to find not only myself, or rediscover who I truly am, but it was just really a moment of darkness for me, wherein I experiencing so much negativity and so much anger and aggression within my life, that I needed to be able to have an outlet, or creative outlet, to be able to really let all of that go, and be who I want to be, and who I really, really am. So,
yeah, it was almost, if you think about it, you went from being at home in a home environment where everything was dictated to you. You were, then immediately into the military, everything's dictated to you. It's structured. You don't even get to be creative on what meal plan you're going to have. You know what I mean?
Right.
And now and of course, going through beauty school, things are dictated to you. But then you get that moment where it's you.
Yeah.
And you have all these avenues, and which one do you choose? Where do you go? And it's hard because, in the very beginning, my family was all hairdressers. I'm the black sheep of the family that decided to become a nail tech. And my cousin was a nail tech as well. And I had support, but they're like, you're not going to make it as a nail tech. You know what I mean? So it's almost like that drive that they said I couldn't make it was what drove me to make it.
Right.
And so being able to branch out and almost bloom on your own, I bet that was a huge moment for you. Like you mentioned, you kind of were lost, but truthfully, it's the first time that you had your own way, that you got to be creative.
Absolutely, absolutely. And it was a nerve-wracking situation, because coming back home from the military, I didn't really have a place to stay. So being in New York City in that moment, I was also homeless. And I must say that was an experience in itself. And so being in the shelter system in New York City is not fun at all whatsoever. And being at Empire Beauty School really transitioned, because I feel like once I got there, not only was I placed at the right, in the right place at the right moment, but I was surrounded by so many people that have now become integral parts in my career and how my career has developed. I can't even express like how thankful I am to the people that actually helped bring my career along. Because without them, like I can't really express where I would be at this moment, because there were so many people that, you know, heard my story and they were like, you did what? And you're where? You live where? You have to sleep where? No, let's fix this. So again, it was just an amazing experience. Again, even though it was riddled with so much negativity, it's like you kind of have to just look at it from a positive light, because without all of that, I wouldn't have been in the position to meet some of the most amazing people that I've met throughout this journey. And right now, I'm 10 years now into this industry, as a makeup artist, a nail technician, a hairstylist, and overall just beauty professional. And these have been the most amazing 10 years of my life, I have to say. I've met some amazing folks, and I honestly, I just owe everything to the people that constantly have supported me and surrounded themselves, or that I've surrounded myself around, because it's just surreal, I think, for me.
Yeah. Well, you know, they say you attract your tribe.
Yes.
So this is a direct reflection of who you really are, is what you get back. And so, you know, all those people that you uplifted and said, girl, you can get through this, or we can get past this, or this is just a moment in time and we can, you know, rise above this. Let's do this together and hold hands and do it. It's a reflection of what you gave. You get back. And it's like they always say, it's, you know, tenfold. I don't know if you could see the comments at all. If you have your extra device, you had some hearts.
I'm seeing some, and I read one, but it just says Facebook user, so I'm not sure what it says, but it says, that's what I'm trying to do, rediscover myself after 32 years of working for the government. And I kind of just empathize with that immediately, because I kind of know what that's, you know, what that life is like. I'm 32 years as well, and it's just it's a process. You understand? Like all of this is a process, and I feel like sometimes some folks get caught up in something, or in jobs and in lives that they don't really 100% love or 100% feel like they fit into. And I was there at one point. You know, I figured that out a lot earlier though. And so for me, it's just keep pushing. Like I'm not sure who that person is, but I want you to keep pushing, and I want you to just keep going forward, because you know it'll happen. It'll definitely happen. And when you find yourself, it's the most beautiful feeling in the world.
Yeah. So just to give you a heads up, what happened is, so obviously when we go live in Facebook, even though we're in a private group, these videos get shared out publicly. And so they want to protect the people in the private groups. And so to you, it's going to say it's a user. I am allowed to say first name. Paige is the one that had said that. Katiana is on here, and she says, you're a comeback kid. God ordered your steps, and you are right where you're supposed to be. You just keep pushing. And I love that power that we have. I think that your career is just beginning. Your art is phenomenal. Your shape is phenomenal. Your words are phenomenal. Your encouragement, everything that you have, I really think that your time to shine is coming up. Maybe you're just getting into where you're feeling that confidence in your work. And maybe sometimes people start narrowing it down into more one field. But I really think that your words of being a mentor, maybe even a life coach, is you know, in your future. I can see this for you just because of who you are, and all of your history of your life has set you to where you need to be. And I just see you really going places. And like I said, I've stalked you for a while. So being able to do that and see your positivity and see the posts that you make. And like I said, your art, oh my gosh, you are phenomenal. And so I'm so glad that you're in our industry to inspire us. I've been in this, so January will be 28 years. And I'm just now finding that confidence. I'm just now finding that inner integrity and dignity that's telling me, you just got to use your voice. You're powerful. You know this stuff. You got to help others. And you're there after 10 years. Like you're already stepping into that role where you need to be. And I love it. Paige says, thank you so much for sharing, Josephine.
No worries, no worries. Thank you guys for listening, first of all, because I can talk all I want, but if there's no one to listen, that's a hard thing. But thank you so much. Yeah, thank you just for listening and absorbing everything.
So how do you get where you balance, you know, after about 10 years, a lot of techs will start getting out of one of the services that they were trained in. You know, maybe they went for cosmetology and they were trained in all of it, and it's hard to balance all of that. Do you see yourself continuing to balancing the three types of careers, or do you see yourself kind of going more exclusive into one area?
I think, well, so I am licensed. I'm a licensed cosmetologist. For me, I think my home is nails, and I think that's probably where I'll be staying. However, I have a lot of clients that are pretty mad at me. I must admit it, because I used to mostly do waxing, head to toe waxing, and also doing makeup. And I have tons of clients that are like, girl, like, come on now, like, you have to, like, come back now, come back. But I think in the most part, nails is really where I was meant to be from the very beginning. So although I might kind of do some services here and there, I don't think that I don't think that I would like transition away from nails. I feel like I found my like peace, and that's the most important thing.
Yeah. So, you know, you've continued your career as well, and you've become an educator and a beauty supply. How did you get into where you transitioned to all of those? I mean, you have a lot of hats that you wear in our industry.
Absolutely, absolutely. So really for me, the aspect of educating really came from, for me, seeing the lack of integrity and the lack of things in certain industry wherein, you know, I would much rather see someone grow and help someone grow into who they're supposed to be, or grow into a better person in this industry or better technician in this industry, as opposed to, you know, knocking folks down for, you know, for whatever reason. I would much rather be the person that can lead you to the path you want to be than the person to kind of take you away or push you to the side or kind of tell you you don't belong here. I've never wanted to be that person. I've never in my life wanted to be the person to tell someone you don't belong in the industry, or you shouldn't be in the industry for whatever reason. So for me, it's just helping folks find their path and figure out how best they, you know, can be in the industry as far as from an educating perspective. It honestly, I feel like it brings me so much joy and peace. Like, just know that, you know, I'm helping someone else, even if that person surpasses me 10 million times over. I would much rather have that than to be the one person in their life that detracted them from their real purpose. So if I can help at all, just to bring someone's career or someone's ideas or someone's dreams to fruition, I would much rather be a part of that process than anything else.
Yeah. Do you guys see where I say that she needs to be like a life coach? This is bigger than the nail industry. What you have to offer is huge. And so I hope you continue to maybe look into those options as well.
Oh, absolutely, absolutely.
I bet your clientele is so attracted to you even more than what you have to offer. I think they probably just want to go in and hang out with you on a daily basis. Yes, exactly. Like Akata's on here. I hope that's how you say her name. Josephine is amazing. And you guys can see why I've asked for her to be our special guest today.
Yes. I love Akata. Akata is another amazing nail technician who's based out of North Carolina, Charlotte, North Carolina. She's doing so many amazing things, and we're partnering together to, even though I'm here in New York City, Akata is doing such amazing things in North Carolina, and we're partnering together to kind of transition some things and really bring some new faces and some new things to the industry that I know everybody will be proud of. So,
we'll have to do another Tech Talk Live when you guys can come on the screen together and be able to share that.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah. I know what you mean, because like Anita Hug Jones and I, she's in New Jersey. We've teamed up. I have people from the UK I've teamed up with. Of course, Tech Talk Worldwide is, worldwide. We have, admins from everywhere. And so I love the possibilities of who we meet and kind of that soul sister that we have, that we think alike, our passions are alike. I know Becky Bunnell and I, who met through being admins on these groups and stuff, I stalked her for a long time too before I decided I have to make sure that you're like my people. I want to, and not that if you're not my people, I wouldn't want you on, but I really want women in their role, women that have that inner drive to want to push and make a difference and not just exist. And what happens is I lost myself years ago. Like, when you've been in the same industry for a long time and you have babies and your focus is on family and stuff, you lose a huge part of yourself in life. And every now and then it comes and it sparks and you're on a path for a while and then you lose yourself again because your priorities are your children. Your priorities are your family. It's not yourself. What I didn't find out until later on in life is that if you don't put yourself first, and you don't put your priorities for your self-care first, you're not doing anybody any good. And so therefore, it was a big life lesson. I heard that many, 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 many times from clients and from, family and stuff like that. But until I actually started implementing that, did I realize my power of growth and the power of my voice. And then it was like, whoa, now I'm unstoppable. And that's where I see that you are. Now you're implementing those things and being able to use that even further. I'm excited to see whatever you come up with. I think it's going to be amazing.
Yeah, well, I'm definitely excited because, like I said, there's so much, I guess, untapped space within the beauty industry, really, that I find so much potential in, and it's such an exciting journey. I kid you not. And like you were saying, there's so many people that I have gotten the pleasure of meeting. Like, we've done meetups where I've driven actually down to South Carolina to meet up with a bunch of nail technicians, Akata is included. But we've met up, and anytime I go to any industry show and industry trade show, like the premier beauty shows or the international beauty shows, I'm always tweeting and, hey, who's here? Come, make sure you stop by this booth, come see me, or and it's just really for the networking aspect of it, because it's so real when you have somebody that you can partner with and message and say, hey, sis, I'm going through a problem, or I'm going through this issue, whether it's personal or professional, to really have that network and as you guys call it, the tribe. To have that is really important in this industry, because there's some things that sometimes I may not really think of all in this, in the same moment, where I might, okay, well, I don't really know how to fix this problem, or let me call this person, or let me call that person, and let me send a quick Facebook message or a quick Facebook post.
Yes.
And it's very real. And I know some people look at social media and so it's all social media, it's just social media, but outside of social media, the people that you communicate are very, very real, and it's so awesome. And I've loved getting to know so many people and meeting so many folks through these shows.
Yeah. And so in the shows, do you take your beauty supply stuff there and then set up like a booth and do it that way? Are you educating?
No, actually, that's the plan maybe for 2020. I actually work with a brand called Eye Candy Cosmetics, which retails glitters that are for cosmetic grade use. And so most people know them for their makeup, but I've been with the company now going on about 7, 8 years with them. And so I work the New York City shows with them. And just most recently, we did Premiere Philadelphia, which was phenomenal. We had an amazing time doing that. But it's not a nail company, but I still tell everyone, I'm like, still come see me.
Yeah.
I'm sure you guys can use glitter.
All the time. And I wish I would have known. I, started educating on the travel team with Light Elegance, and I was at Premiere Philadelphia.
Yes, we did. We met in at the nail networking event. Correct.
And it was just so briefly though, but I wish I would have known sooner that you were there working a booth, or I could have hung out a little bit more with you. But shows are crazy. They're busy. All the people that you meet, and yeah, I love it though. I love the energy, don't you?
It's fun. It's funny because at the end of the show, when you're working the shows, at the end you're, oh, I just want to go home. I'm so tired. I just want to lay down. But really, being there, the energy is unmatched. There's nothing like a show. I tell everybody I love going to these trade shows, not really because, new products or new things, but really just the networking, the seeing people that I may not normally get to see, or even just meeting people for the very first time. Nail networking events are major. It's so awesome that I got to meet so many new people at that event. And I just love it for that. I honestly do. There's nothing like it.
Yeah, I agree. That's one of the things that I love the most, is being able to go to the shows. And, as an attendee, I didn't realize, I don't know, the stress and the work that really went in, and I'd help people set up their booths that I got to know, but actually from beginning to end, set up, take down all day, go, and trying to be your best self, and, and stuff like that. It's exhausting. And yeah, it takes, so if you leave a beauty show and you still have energy, you didn't give your all. I give my all. I'm exhausted when I'm done. I need to disconnect.
Yeah, I do agree with that 100%. There's been so many times where, my husband will come pick me up from the show at the end of the day, and normally my husband and I will do setup for in the day before and the day after. We'll do breakdown. And it's just funny to us every single time, because setup is always like, oh, we have to set up. And then breaking down is always like, oh, we have to break down. But really throughout the show, the whole time, we're like, oh my God, this is so awesome. This is so great. And like I said, it's really just the energy of being in these places and meeting so many new people that I think keeps everybody kind of like, so refreshed, I think, throughout that moment. But once it's done, we're all like, oh.
I know, right? It's funny when you talk about the setup and the takedown. So on the setup, when I open the boxes, it's almost like Christmas, because it's the newest products that maybe I haven't gotten to see in person or whatnot, and I haven't gotten to play with, and I can't wait to do a demo because I get to play with it. And then I every single show forget to set aside what I want to purchase. So at the very end of the show, it's takedown time, and I'm going through frantically trying to grab the things that I want to get, and they're always sold out every single time. And then I have to come home and place my order and then wait. And I always tell myself, okay, this one I'm going to set it aside from the beginning, and then I never do. But there is that excitement of it, and it is a lot of work, but it's worth it work.
Yeah, it's well worth it.
Yeah, exactly. Catania. Catania. She said you came to South Carolina and she put you to work in her salon.
Yeah, I came to visit. I was visiting. And yeah, she really did. She put me to work. She told me I couldn't walk into her salon and not do some work. So anytime I have a desk at that salon waiting for me. I whenever I go, or whenever I go to visit. She's trying to get me to move down there. We'll see how that works out. I don't know if the New Yorkers would be too happy with that, but she is trying to get me to move down south to South Carolina, and she has a desk with my name on it. So we'll see what happens. But it was absolutely amazing, and this is why I love doing what I do, being able to network and meet so many people and travel all across the country, and getting to know so many folks, and forming friendships. I think that's one of the most awesome thing, just being able to form so many beautiful bonds and real friendships is an amazing thing.
Yeah, absolutely. So you have a beauty supply. You have your own studio. You wear so many hats. You're an instructor, obviously a wife, children. How do you?
I have two small ones. I have a 7-year-old, Caitlin, and a 3-year-old, Jaden. And it is a whirlwind of things going on at any given moment. They are amazing children. They both, my daughter actually right now, even though she's 7 years old, she's actually reading the Milady's book. She wants to be a nail technician.
Yeah.
So I have given her assignments to read the textbook. And every now and then I give her little quizzes and things like that. And she talks to me about the origins of the nail industry, and what nail polishes and what dip powders do. And she's so invested at 7. And it's amazing. I love it. Being able to share it not only with adults that are in the industry, but also being able to share what I love with children, especially my children. Oh, that's an amazing feeling. That's amazing.
It's where it comes full circle. So you started off saying you were like 11 years old when, your mom was kind of doing the same thing with you. And now it's, happening again. And I love that.
Yeah, it's an amazing thing. Most times, I mean, if you are friends with me on Facebook, you'll notice like I post a lot about my son sometimes, and I've posted pictures and videos of him actually doing like mini manicures. It's the cutest thing. It's very painful when he does it, but it is an awesome thing. I do love the fact that they're so invested, so much more invested in seeing, me doing everything that I'm doing, and then obviously wanting to kind of follow in those footsteps. That's an amazing thing.
Yeah. I've talked about my children. My son just turned 25 last week. I feel very old, not off of my own age, but off of his age. And then my daughter is 19. Neither one of them wanted to be in the beauty industry, but when they were little, I couldn't afford childcare, so they would come to work with me. And I always had an extra room in there for the children. And I can say I'm thankful for the way I was able to keep them with me, but in a way I always felt bad because they didn't have a choice. They always had to go to work with me. But you know what? As an adult, they both look back and they respect me so much for everything that I did and all the hats that I wore and how I kept control, and that they were priority. They never felt like they were just locked away into a room. They felt like they were closer to me. And both of them as adults have told me that they appreciate that I took them to work with me. It was the hardest thing ever. I didn't want to take them to work with me. I just couldn't afford it. And so, I wish that I had video at that time of my son. I have clients that I still do today that are like, remember when Blake used to set up this little area and polish my toes? My son now is like, I did not do that. I had nothing to do with my mom's salon. But do you know both of my children have become, they have their side businesses. Both of them do. And it's amazing to watch them. And they're like, they learned the finances. They learned, how to come up with their business plan and all that, because I take the business side seriously. I love the nail art. I love the shape, the structure, and all of that. But you can't be successful unless you know how to run a business. And we don't learn that in school. And I think that's why I've been so successful with my online workshops, is because I'm helping to teach that part that you don't learn. And, you've been able to share that as well. And so having both of them be their own entrepreneurs and starting their own businesses at a younger age and in a passion that they love so much, it's not the beauty industry, but it's their industry. It's their path. It's what they want to choose. And I'm so excited and so proud of where they are. And they're both both still in college and on top of that. So the hats that we wear when we can, and then sometimes the only hat we can wear is the mom hat. That's it. Our priority is just them. And so sometimes, like I said, we kind of get lost, but we get lost for the right reasons, and we get lost. Yeah, exactly. And building them up. I love the word that you used earlier, is that your mom developed you, and I think that was pretty powerful to be able to see it that way.
Yeah, I mean, it's important for me, I think, in relaying that message, just because, as children, we don't choose who we are. We're led in the paths that we are, and the people that you have leading your path really influence who you are and how you develop as a person. If you're surrounded by negativity and controversy, and there's really only very one way or the other that can go. So it's really important to not only just to know who you are as an individual, but know that as a mom, that you're responsible for these these beings that you're raising. So it's super important to really help them or guide them into who they're meant to be. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I'm just thankful that it wasn't a situation where my parents were like, no, you have to do this, and you have to go to this kind of school, and you have to do these things. It definitely didn't turn out that way for me, or my parents weren't that way. And so it really just helped me, or helped push me to this moment. So it's really important. And I just wanted to say, because I know I was listening to you speak about your kids, and even though we sometimes we don't want to bring our children to work and do all of these things, and sometimes we're like, oh, I have to be a mom again. It's not a job you give up on. It's setting the footprint. It's really setting the footprint for their future. So just being able to look at them and say, they have businesses, they have this, they have that, they've accomplished this. You got to kind of pat yourself on the back for that, because you set the footprint, you showed them the path, you showed them the way, and even though it wasn't the beauty industry, they followed that same path, and they followed that same kind of dedication to development and being really just growth. So yeah, I'm just, thank you for sharing that, because that was just, as moms, I don't think we get enough credit either. So it's important that, I guess some folks hear that, yeah, we can do this, and yeah, we are mothers, and yes, we have businesses, and yes, we run salons, and we're awesome. We're badass moms.
Right, exactly. I actually shared a post, I think it was just yesterday, and it said something about we're supposed to raise our children like we don't work, but we're supposed to work like we don't have any children. And that it was just one of those things, like, my kids aren't at home with me anymore, but it was one of those things I'm like, oh my gosh, isn't that so true? For years, I had to work and work and work to support the children. So I had to work like I didn't have children, but yet I needed a mother like I didn't have a job. And it's hard to balance all of, as I called it, in this live today, we keep calling it all the hats. And so, but isn't it kind of funny too, interesting how our path of our history of where it's led us, we always take something, from like you, from the military. There's something that you learned, like the integrity that pushed you further. There's something that you learned from your childhood that pushed you further. And so our path of what we have throughout our whole life is what sets our footprints, our foundation for our future. And it allows us to go, okay, well, that didn't work, I'm going to create a new path. Or that worked really well, and that kind of was easy. Maybe, is it too easy? Should I not go down that path? And the thing is, you just got to follow your gut. Don't follow what everybody else says. Sometimes we can't even follow what our mind says. We have to follow what our gut says, our heart, and go through that. Katana says, that's deep. Raise your kids like I don't work, and work like you don't have kids. I like that. Yeah. And what's sad is that's kind of become the reality. It never was that way. Women stayed home and raised their babies. That was how, I mean, if a woman worked, it was because a man wasn't sufficient enough to raise her and the children. Like
Right.
that's the mindset that it was. And that wasn't too many years ago. Now
Right.
it's all changed. And now we have to work. We do have to, and raise our children. And it's not that we're forced to do it. We could change our lifestyle habits and, less drive, less, nice vehicles
Yeah.
and not drink as much coffee and stuff like that. But those are the choices. We have choices, and that's the blessing that we have, is that we can choose that. And I did choose to work, and I had to work very hard, but at least I love what I do. That's
Right.
the main thing. So I didn't really see it as much as work as I saw as an escape sometimes from my house.
And it feels that way, honestly. It's kind of funny because so here in New York City, um, I was able to sanction part of my home as a salon. And so it's been so awesome that there are times where I can go home and I will go into my little salon area. I will close everything off and I'll just sit there and I'm just like, oh, this is so peaceful. When, and even if it's just getting away from the kids, and it's kind of funny because now I kind of go in there and, sometimes I might find my husband in there and he's just like, it was quiet in here. It was nice. It was just a serene feeling. And I think that that's such an important thing, that sometimes, yeah, you need an escape. And sometimes if you're doing what you truly love, then sometimes what you love can be that escape. So
Yeah, so true. So what's next for you? I mean, you don't have to share all your secrets that you're working on, but what's your 3-year plan? What's your 5-year plan? Where are we going to see you?
Honestly, I think right now for this the next 5 years, as far as a short-term goal, I want to be able to really be more present in the industry and really just kind of help guide. Right now, as you can see, I mean, I'm at a salon. You can't see the whole salon, but I'm actually I do a lot of coaching here in New York City. And my purpose right now is helping unlicensed technicians in the state of New York get their license. So we are working hard through apprenticeship programs, through beauty school sponsorships, and through scholarships as well, to try to really get more people licensed in the industry and knowledgeable. Because you mentioned something earlier about, in the industry, you can do beautiful nails, but really there is a business side to it all, and there is a technical side to it. And I feel like that sometimes may get lost once people are really trying to develop themselves within the industry. So really my goal here in New York City while I'm here is to really just make sure that we are empowering as many individuals as we can, both men and women, to join the industry, to go to beauty school if you want to. And if there's an apprenticeship program, we're figuring it out. And really trying to apply it to other states, because I mean, here in New York City, like I said, we're thankful that New York has an apprenticeship program, but really just making it happen for other folks. And I kind of want to be the person that my mom was to other folks. So really, it's just a matter of making sure that, whoever wants to be a part of the industry has those resources and kind of that person to motivate and push them forward, because that's one of the most important things.
Yes. Oh my gosh. Again, the goosebumps. I absolutely love what you just said. Oh, I love it. I live in Wyoming, and Wyoming does not allow it. And I've asked Matt so many times, what is it going to take? Because I've helped change laws from the very beginning. I'm part of the reason why there's a nail only program in Wyoming. And so what's it going to take? And he's like, they're not going to go that. You have to go to a school to be able to do that. So I've learned that what I do is not attack, but I'll go meet them while they're at the school and help become a mentor that way. And then once they're licensed, then I can work with them. Right. And so I get to do an apprenticeship, but in a different type of way. And it's amazing that, I was more known in the UK in the very beginning for some reason than I was even in my own state. And so when I started traveling around more and putting myself out there, like I had to create a bio. What's my mission? What do I really want to teach? And there's so many things I like to teach. So I can't narrow it down to even one, to not just the business side, not just nail art, not just like there's so many areas that I love, but it was amazing just in the last few years of using my voice and putting it out there and going and what I call a rewalk walk. It's what I've called it for years and years, going into salons, meeting techs and saying, this is who I am. And it's amazing how many people, they're not even on Facebook. They're not on social media at all. So
Right.
they would have no clue the impact that we're doing through 2 years of interviews of TikTok lives and, everything like that. You think everybody knows. They don't. It takes you putting yourself out there. And so it's just like if you're trying to build a clientele, you can't just always advertise on Facebook. Your clientele is out there. You have to seek them. And so it goes the same way, trying to build up who I can mentor and continue to work with on a type of an apprenticeship level. I had to do the footwork. I have to go to the schools and find these techs that are eager and they're ready. And truthfully, I like teaching them better after they're licensed, because maybe they're just doing it because it's the cheapest investment that they can do to have a career. Maybe they're in it just because their mom told them to do it or whatever. Once they get done with school and they decide they want to turn it into the business, that's when they find that passion. And that's when I'm ready for them. That's when I have the patience.
Yeah, that's understandable. I think for me, it's being here in New York City, it's a little bit different having the apprenticeship program and coming from a stage of having been homeless. It's so important for me to make sure that people that may not have access to pay for beauty school, or that we're finding alternatives, because you shouldn't have to be limited because of your finances or because you can't afford to go to school. If this is really your passion, we got to find alternatives. And I think that that's one of my main focuses too, just because of what happened to me and how things happen and how I was able to join the beauty industry. I just want to make sure that there are enough pathways for everyone else. We really have to kind of not so much dictate the future, but kind of help push it along. So I know some of the states, and this is probably Catania, who said South Carolina doesn't have it. I'm currently fighting for the apprenticeship currently. I think that, yeah, it's definitely important that, for us that are in positions to really fight and change legislation and really go forward on that forefront, that we do as much as necessary or as much as possible, because it is important. Not everyone can afford, and not everyone has, the ability or the means to take out loans and financial aid or access to those things. So whatever we can do to help bring along the industry, I think is an important thing. Absolutely.
I love it. From beginning to end, using the word integrity, you definitely have that and share that. I love it. So, Josephine, how can people get a hold of you if they want to be a part of your mentoring or for your beauty supply? What are all your handles?
Yes. So I am available on Facebook as Josephine Cruz-Wright. I also have a beauty page on Facebook, which is Josephine Cruz Beauty. I can be reached on Instagram by at JC Beauty Bridal, or rather JC Beauty _bridal, and also as Millennium Beauty Supply, and millenniumbeautysupply.com. That is the store. We are in the process of this year. We're online right now, but we are going to be opening our very first store here in New York City. And that's one thing that I'm super excited about. New York City does not have, or not rather New York City, but Manhattan, where I live, does not have any beauty supply stores. So we are trying to be the very first in the center of it all. So that's going to be really, really awesome to see. But yeah, I mean, those are the ways that I can be reached. Of course, I do have my own salon, and I'm also working here at Elizabeth's Beauty and Nail Salon in Manhattan. So if anybody knows, that information, I'll have it. I mean, I post it all the time on my Instagram, so you'll see that on my Instagram. But the address is 2304 Amsterdam Avenue in New York. And so you guys can always come in, check me out, and come in and get some services done as well.
Mm-hmm. I love it. Love it, love it, love it. As Deb says, congratulations. I'm so happy for you. I'm excited for you. Yay for the first nail supply store. You know, we don't have one in Wyoming either. We had one beauty supply, and now I have to get them from Montana. So I'm stuck ordering online, which I'm okay with, you know, but it would be nice. And I live at the base of the mountains. Like if I had a beauty supply, nobody would drive all this way to come do that. So it's great that you're going to have a centralized location that can benefit so many people. And you know what? It's so amazing when you can go to shows and you get to like feel the different files, because even though they're all like 100 by 180, they're all completely different grits. They're not
everything feels different. And I think that's one of the things that it's so hard when you're at a location, or rather when you're not at a location, you're missing that aspect of touch and feel when you're dealing with products, and even sometimes when you're dealing with like smells and things, and you don't really know how those things actually are supposed to be. So that's another thing. Hopefully, if we can find a way to make a beauty supply store with a learning center attached to it, I think that'll be a great thing.
I actually took it as that's what you're going to have to do. Hands-on side of it.
I mean, I'm hoping that's the pathway that we're going. So let's see how it transitions into that.
Christine says, hi, I'm from Long Island, only a right away.
It's a Long Island Railroad. Yeah, she's not at all.
Galore.
But yeah, it's not far at all. Hi, everybody in Long Island and in the outer boroughs. I'm in Manhattan, but you guys can come see me. I travel also, so.
Yeah, until South Carolina steals you, right?
Yes, so they still, but I'm more than likely gonna still be around New York City area. I love traveling. So even if I find my way down to South Carolina, I'll be around.
Yeah. Oh, I love it. Josephine, you are such a delight and such an inspiration from your childhood all the way through. Thank you again for your service. Thank you for your service in the nail industry as well. I think that you're paving the path for many more, as you said, to use the integrity, and let's keep it real, keep it professional, and continue on into this beauty industry and help set ourselves apart from everybody else. Absolutely love it. Thank you for sharing your story. Again, as people are watching on replay, ask questions, reach out to us. But remember, you're going to have to tag our name for it to show up into our notifications, or private message us, because if you just leave a comment without our name, it doesn't tag us in there. So just kind of give you a heads up on that. And I just can't thank you guys enough. And Josephine, I can't thank you enough for sharing your story. I remember when we met at the nail working event, Beth saying how much of a dream you were, and the powerhouse, and I have to agree. It's been fabulous being able to share your story, and I just look forward to doing another Tech Talk Live with you on your next venture as well.
Thank you so much. That's so humbling to hear, especially from you guys. It means the world. Thank you so much.
Yeah. So everybody, thanks for joining us on Tech Talk Live. Happy holidays. Today's Cyber Monday, and you guys know that sometimes we have internet connections, and I was difficulties, and I was worried today was going to be one of those days because of it. No, we had God on our side, and so therefore we are connected. And thank you, Josephine, for sharing your story. Mwah.
Thank you.
All right, you guys, happy holidays. Love it.